Hello, everyone. This is Rick with the Cyber Pro podcast. It's about 5 questions in 9 minutes, so our industry leaders can share their insights because the hackers are never sleeping. Today, we have a repeat offender. He is the Steve Martin of the Cyber Pro podcast, coming back with another jacket. Todd Rowley. He was on episode number 93 in June of 2021, and he talked to us about how people can achieve the experience needed to become a cyber professional. So, first question, what have you been up to since the last time you were on the Cyber Pro podcast?
Wow. Well, I'm now back in the office, as you see. I'm out of the sunroom at home, which is great. And so, not wearing a mask. Probably the best thing, one of the most fun things is, as you may recall, I had begun a journey to get a cyber degree. We had nothing to do with my day job as a banker, but I'd started that journey at that time, and I finished as of May of this year. I have now finished my cyber degree, my third NOVA degree. I started out with IT coding. I went to cloud computing. This is a degree in cyber, and with that, I'm also certified with NSA and DHS. So that was a lot of fun. So everything else back at the office, doing my job. It's been a lot of good, positive transition back to the office.
That's amazing. I'm really interested, especially because you've been in an interesting situation where you've kind of come through the education path. You get to see the cybersecurity landscape from that path, but also from your job as a banker during the daytime. And how do you feel the cybersecurity landscape has evolved over the past few years?
From an educational standpoint, or from an economic standpoint, or give me
both.
Give me a vet.
Yeah, I mean
both.
Yeah, sure. grab it from both sides.
Okay, thank you. I think from an educational standpoint, it's starting to create partnerships that are working. Back in 2021, I had begun the discussions. As you know, I'd served as a board member and chairman of the board of directors of the Northern Virginia Community College, we call it NOVA, right here in Northern Virginia. And I also sit as a board member emeritus on the board of business school at Virginia Tech. And one of the degrees at Virginia Tech was BIT Cyber, Business Information Technology Cyber. And what would bother me often, Rick, is I would be in these conversations at the university, and I felt like there were so many students that were in the community college system that would want to go and get a degree in BIT Cyber, and have that option, but for their personal economics, their family economics, they couldn't afford, the meal plan, the housing, all of that stuff, let alone, the gas to get to Blacksburg and back from, all of that before they even got the classes. And so I started having conversations with the president of NOVA, Ann Kress, and the dean of the business school, Robert Sumercrast, and said, can we bring these two together? Because I was taking virtual classes. I knew that during COVID, the BIT cyber students were taking, virtual classes. I said, why can't we set it up so that you can get your 4-year degree virtually from Virginia Tech, 2 years at NOVA, immediately then finish 2 years, kind of dual enrolled with Virginia Tech, and a BIT cyber degree is very valuable because it has the business degree that you'd get at a university with a patina of cyber, and Deloitte, all of these large companies, Amazon and others, they're picking up these students because they know not only, and it kind of gets to your other part of the question, the economics of cyber, because cyber for cyber's sake is interesting, but it's twofold. For businesses, how do we deliver a cyber product efficiently and in such a way that we're making some money, because making money is not a bad thing for the company. It's why they get out of bed in the morning. But also, it's, unless you're doing pure research, where you're just, doing research for research sake, if you're in business, you want people that are customer facing and non-customer facing, customer supporting, to be doing things efficiently that aren't costing the company money. Yeah. And so you have that economics. So I think that's why this degree was important. What's interesting now is it has been expanded. Germanna Community College here in Virginia has now picked it up, and having discussions with the Virginia Community College system to see how we can expand this further across the Commonwealth, so that this issue of shortages of cyber-trained individuals can go from dozens to hundreds to potentially thousands and never have to leave their house. And the nice thing about that is that, the brain drain of people moving away to go to college and never going back home to fill those jobs that are back home can now be filled because the person never has to leave home. Is that fair?
I love it. That's great, Todd.
Yeah.
So what about emerging trends, technologies, or approaches? What are you excited about that's an emerging cybersecurity solution that you've learned about so far?
I don't know if it's a solution, but I just think is that the discussions that are going on, I think people are breaking down the walls of conversations. And I think, and largely because of, what we just talked about, one of the things that creates these broken walls of communication is the fact that by putting this program together the way we have, and not having to have housing and meal plans and all the other stuff, is that somebody can finish their 4-year degree, the same degree, and going to a 4-year college on campus does have value, unless you can't afford it, right? But the cost is 50% of the cost if you go to Nova, and then you go to take the Virginia Tech. So 50% of the cost is pretty significant cost reduction for a 4-year degree. But I think what we're seeing in the way of trends right now is, where people are coming out and saying, okay, I had a conversation recently with the chief scientist of the Air Force. Another good friend of mine is kind of head of strategy, for IT and cyber and security at Space Force. I have another friend that is working at the GSA. And so GSA really oversees all that cyber spend for the federal government, and tying that into the private sector. I see a lot more communications, a lot less, kind of hide the ball. And because a lot of times with cyber, that everybody wants to kind of protect their, cover their ball, right? Not let anybody play with it. And right now, the environment is such that more people are saying, we've got to share this ball, or all we're doing is creating more and more vectors of exposure. And that's a key thing. Is that communications is going to be a key to success going forward. At least I think so.
I love that. People don't often think about communication as an emerging approach to a problem, but it has to be. And so I appreciate the way you broke that out.
It's a product in and of itself.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely. For sure. And that's a great point. Todd, I would like to know if you have any real world cybersecurity stories that we can get some lessons or takeaways from, specifically from the education side, right? Because you have a story, right? You just recently went back, against what you normally do for your big boy job, and got multiple degrees and have moved yourself into, the ability to be a cyber professional. But I'd be curious, what real world cybersecurity education stories do you have, or could you share that we can get a good lesson from?
Well, if I had to marry, cyber risk with financial services, right? I think there is a great deal of both opportunity and exposure. for cyber risk and cybersecurity. The biggest risk we have, and this is not just banks, but it's global across all financial services. Whether it be investment banks, whether it be the institutional investor group, and that is the risk of facing cybercrime. Cybercrime is a huge risk, and the preponderance of people that are doing cybercrime now, they're not going into the bank with a fraudulent check and trying to cash it with a teller line. They're sitting back in their living room and they're keyboarding a false EFT, electronic funds transfer, and all they needed, it's that old adage, we have to be vigilant 100% of the time. They just had to be successful one time, right? And I think there are many vice presidents of finance or controllers who really don't understand that they need to lock this stuff down. And the main tool that's out there, it's positive. It's called positive pay, which is an ACH protection. And there's two different types. There's positive pay for checks and positive pay for ACH items, which are electronic items. And we get a lot of they think they're kind of saving themselves by not getting the full coverage, but they're really leaving the back door open, And so I think I see many studies and many stories of individuals who call the bank and say, I'm the controller for such and such. We just got hit by a fraudulent ACH item last week, and the risk here, Rick, is that we're individuals. We got hit by something. We've got a month to respond. Let's say, or we got an extended period of time as individuals to report and get that taken care of. How long do you think companies have?
And I think it's 72 hours. Is that about right?
24 hours.
24.
Yeah. Your answer is a lot closer to the answer I get from many financial professionals and companies. They think they have this long time. It's like reporting a fraudulent charge on your credit card. No, this the federal government, the Fed, has determined that you as a company should be checking your stuff daily, and so you should be aware of a fraudulent item the day it appears, which means that you need to have back checks and you need to have backstops. If you're going on vacation, who's checking? You can't come back from vacation and say, oh, there was an item.
Right.
You need to, depending on the size of the company, you need to be either checking daily or have other people in your office as backup and explain to them the risk. And a form of prevention of that is what I just said. Put the tools in place. Positive pay ACH, positive pay for checks, that you're validating these are the checks and ACH items that should be paid against our account, so that when they come in, if a fraudulent one comes in, we bounce it right back.
Nice.
And that's just not our bank. It's every bank wants to do this for their clients. Nobody wants to have a client that incurs a fraudulent debit and have money out of their account they can't recover. Because if you go to the police force, they're not being insensitive, but in their mind, no one's hurt here. No individual was harmed. The company was harmed, but they've got so many other things they're chasing down. They're not going to. They will take your report. They'll put a file together, but that money's somewhere Far East, Eastern Europe. It's gone. And so you got to. That's what I see. I see much more attempts at cyber theft than in prior years, and so people need to lock that down.
Todd, final question, fun question for you. We once in the before times asked you what your favorite piece of retro technology was, but now I want to know what your favorite piece of current technology is that makes you smile.
Oh, current technology. I'm an early adopter, so you know, I am very much someone who likes new gadgets. So I let's see, new technology. That's a good question. I just like everything that talks to everything. So maybe I enjoy the ability to play my TV shows or my podcasts or my more. I mean, I'm kind of wickered together when it comes to flipping something from the TV to the PC over to my phone, then over to Amazon. So I think that it may be old new technology, but anytime somebody comes up with a new way of integrating your communications or your entertainment into that new into a new device, I'm pretty much I love being the beta.
I think that is. Todd, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast again.
Well, you're very kind. As you said, I felt like Saturday Night Live. I'm a multi-year guest, so I'll see everybody again in 3 years.
Nice.